that anyone that's a brother or a son or has a close mate, if you imagine that they're not sitting beside you any longer, I mean, that's what some of our boys are feeling. We had some guys that were really close to John. Obviously, his time at the club is still fondly remembered, and it's just a tragedy for his family and friends to be going through what they're going through, and the club's feeling it as well. It's just a tragic circumstance. You know, you rally around each other. Some are closer to John than others, so some are feeling it more keenly than others are. There's first-year players that are at the club that didn't know him, but knew of him and are involved through the football community. I think everyone's feeling it in some way or another. So you can only just draw together, and as you do with any challenging circumstances, you look after one another.
We basically had everyone together yesterday morning. We addressed a handful of guys who we knew were really close to J-Mac for a start, and just, I guess, explained to them we didn't want them to have that real shock amongst the whole group. So we spoke to those guys, and then everyone was together when we spoke to the whole group. So obviously everyone handles it differently, and as Nathan said, everyone has different relationships with Johnny, and some guys were still extremely tight and had spoken to him only a few days ago. So it's challenging for our guys, the whole football club, and as Buck said, sometimes there's guys who didn't even know him, but they see that their mate next to them are hurting, and they see how much pain it's causing them, and I mean, that's the selfish aspect of it, where you're looking at the guys around you at the moment, but obviously you start thinking about his family and what they're going through, and his partner Danny, and it's a pretty difficult time.
People are going to deal with it in different ways. We have people at the club that are qualified to assist the players, staff, through times like this. So, you know, it's obviously the first 36 hours has been as well managed from our behalf as it possibly can be, but at the same time, it's there's no manual, and you don't want players to bottle up their emotions. You want them to actually be able to share them if they see fit, and we're providing as much support to all of our individuals as we can.
What do you do as coach to balance that up here, giving them their opportunity to grieve and deal with their own emotions, but at the same time getting their heads into being able to put it?
Yeah, look, that is a challenge, but I think first things first is to give the players and the individuals that need it time and space, and they've had that, and they may need more. You know, the opportunity to narrow in and focus on what the club has ahead of it on Saturday night is still in front of us. And, you know, the time will come, and many individuals will choose that time themselves. But you know, we will have a full session tomorrow, and our routine and timetable for Saturday night will begin as it always does tomorrow morning. And in many ways, that routine will provide some comfort for the guys that you know, are feeling that grief at the moment.
The same as you do with every player, with every charge, you go through it all and look at where I guess there's room to move and where you think you might be able to challenge anything. But in the end, we don't feel there was any movement for us or any room to move. So I never set out with the intent of causing any damage. I wasn't trying to be aggressive to hurt anyone. But in the end, my technique and the way I went about it was not good enough. And I think that in the end, reckless is probably the right word, because, as I said, I didn't mean to try and hurt him. I didn't mean to cause any damage, and I was just trying to stop him getting back to the contest, because you know he's lightning quick and a lot quicker than I am. So it's something that I think, as Buck said on Saturday, it happens plenty of times in a game, and as a defender I do it a lot in a game, but I've just got to be better at making sure that the contact isn't high, and make sure that I manage that situation better next time.
It's finals, you're captain. I guess it's an understatement to say you're terribly disappointed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, bitterly disappointed. I want to be playing every game I can for the Collingwood Football Club, and finals, it's even harder to miss with finals. So I don't think I've ever missed a final that the club's been involved in since I've been part of the list. So it's difficult, but I move on. There'll be 22 other players go out and play, and for me now, I've got a job to do in terms of number one, helping our players with the situation in the last 24 hours, and number two, doing everything I can to support Bucks and all the players who will be representing the club on Saturday. And I've got no doubt they'll give a very good account of themselves.
Yeah, if there was nothing to lose, challenging the findings, I think we would have gone down that path. And the other part of it is working out your odds of getting a favourable result. So despite what the club believes in and what Nick has just verified, I mean, you really need to be able to convince a panel that that it wasn't reckless, that it was negligent, or it wasn't medium, it was low. And we had a look at all of those layers and felt that we weren't. The odds were against us, and it was just going to cost another week, and potentially that is another week this season, which wouldn't be something favourable for us.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if he'd coach again. No, I guess the one thing he always said was that he wouldn't be coaching in 2012, so he always left it open. But he's obviously coaching Carlton now, and wish him all the best in the way he goes about it. Obviously, not when he's playing Collingwood, but I think that he's always been someone who's a career coach, and he's done a lot for our football club, and we wish him the best with his future there.
So the players don't hold any resentment to him for going to the arch rival or anything like that?
No, not at all. I think he's the first coach to ever coach both clubs, isn't he? So he probably just wanted another first, Mick. He's had a few of them, so there's no resentment at all from the playing group, and we understand that coaches come and go and players come and go, and that's just part of the football club.
Yeah, Trav's a Collingwood player. We're pretty confident that he'll remain so. Look, he's a remarkably resilient individual, and he's had his form ups and downs this year. But the amount of speculation that he's been a party to and of becomes fairly onerous for to try and find your best form consistently. His work rate and endeavour and preparation hasn't dropped off at any stage, and he's been able to work himself back into form, and you can see now that he's up and about, and he becomes a very damaging player for us. Well, I think it's advantage us. We've had 48 extra hours with the extra couple of days. Clearly, when we're playing on our home ground, but it is the ground that finals are played on, so it's somewhat neutral in that regard. But in the end, all of that stuff, I think it counts for little. Each team will go through their own preparations and find that extra 0.5% or 1% to have yourself up and running, and that's what our focus is. And we expect to come up against a very fierce West Coast, and as I said last week, they should expect a fairly fierce Collingwood. Yeah, no, it's more a reflection on where we're at and how close we are to our optimum. I mean, you can obviously spend time on the opposition, and you want to buffer their strengths and optimise your own. But I think over the last couple of weeks, we've been able to find a few intangibles that have us playing closer to the type of footy that we want to play against any opposition. And that really comes down to defensive intent and physicality at the ball and in the contest. And I believe that we've been able to display that, which gives us a chance to do all of the other things around that in the game that are going to win it for us.